Hello people, I'm here to show you the third bunch of miniature people I made. This time when I was probably early 30s, and again I was kind of at a stage in my life where I didn't know what to do. All the books had been published at that point, but I couldn't really find a job. I was in the process of trying to find a very small flat to buy with the money from the Land of Decoration, which was a lot to me but not a lot to buy a flat with, and I was all at 6s and 7s, and it always seems to be when I'm in that kind of state that I start making miniature people. This time it wasn't hundreds, but I think it was over 100, and they were all part of the Duckworth people. Sorry, the sun has just come out. They were all part of the Duckworth not family, the Duckworth series. So the Duckworths are a family I thought of. Let me just try and get out of the sun. Sorry. The Duckworths are a family I had the idea for when I was about 9 or 10. I decided to write a little story about a character called Meg Duckworth, who was a little girl about 5 or 6. I don't know why the name really stuck in my mind, and then someone later said that Duckworth was actually a character on Coronation Street, and of course I wasn't thinking of Jack and Vera Duckworth at all. It just seemed a perfect kind of down-to-earth name for this little girl and her very ordinary family, who live in this 3 or 4 story kind of ramshackle rundown house in a very small seaside town, and the dad loses his job and they have to decide what to do to make money. So the mum and dad decide to take their savings and kind of spruce up the house a bit and make it into a guest house. And all the children, I think there are 4 at the beginning, but then as the stories go on, the mum has a couple more help out, and they have to move their bedrooms from where they are. Well, sorry, they don't move their bedrooms, but they change bedrooms, and they all go and sleep in the attic. The big attic is converted. And for some reason, every part of this story, it just filled me with delight and inspired me, and is still inspiring me now. I still want to make the house or have it made. I still want to film every part of it or photograph every part of it. The ideal would be to make the whole seaside town and the beach. The closest model I can come to it is probably Tenby, which is a small and possibly the prettiest seaside town you'll ever find, which is on the West Wales coast in Pembrokeshire. And ultimately what I'd love to do is animate the little figures. The problem is, as I discovered when I photographed the little people for the children's stories I'd written, was that fine was really fragile, even if reinforced by wire, and so they really break quite easily, and also their clothes and hair and even the paint on their faces gets pretty messed up. So I think I would have to have lots of doubles of each figure, which in fact I did for some of the children's stories, but I'll talk about that in a different video. In any case, for some inexplicable reason, because it's not a great idea, it's not that original, it's not that beautiful, I absolutely love the Duckworths and their story, and I've even got 20 or 30 ideas for more stories involving their friends and the family members, and different seasons at this guest house hotel. It probably would be called something really basic like the Bucket and Spade or Harbour Heights or something. And one day, maybe as a reward for something I did right at some point, I will get to make this town. Now I'm going to show you the little people that will inhabit these stories, and the only way I can do that is to show you on my website, because I don't have them with me, they're all in my parents' house. So I'll bring the camera down and show you one by one, the Duckworths and their friends. So here we have Mr. Duckworth. He's Meg's dad, and he's always had a moustache in my imagination. He's a solid sort. This is his wife, Mrs. Duckworth. She's not ideally realised, really. I think I might make her again at some point, but she's always had short hair in my mind and is quite a tomboyish sort of lady, despite the fact she's actually wearing a skirt here. This is Josie, the eldest Duckworth girl. She's Meg's older sister. I imagine her to be about 10 when the story opens, at least. And this is a 20p piece. They're all 1/12 scale, so the kids are about 4 inches high, the adults are about 6 inches high, or a little bit less than that. Here is Tom, Josie's younger brother and Meg's older brother. Tom's about 8. Here's Meg Duckworth, the star of the show, as she was when she was first made. Now, this is before I used her as Jess in the scrapwork field. Sadly, she no longer really resembles this, particularly her hair. She'll probably have to be remade at some point if I do ever get around to making the Duckworths home and their town, etc. There's little Pete in a different outfit, and as I said, he's about 3 or 4. Meg is about 5 or 6. There is little Pete in his delightful little yellow waterproof coat with a little necklace masquerading as a zip down the front, and his dear little T-bar shoes. Bless her, my mum helped me make a lot of these clothes as well. Here's little Pete in his dressing gown. That is a removable felt dressing gown that can be put on over his pyjamas, which here he is. You see, when they're first made, they look a lot more pristine than how they are after a couple of years or so. Really, they shouldn't be handled, and they should be kept in a dust-proof environment, but that's not happened. And here's little Pete in a kind of tank top and shirt. Now here is Lily. I imagine Lily to be a younger sister for Meg that comes along a couple of years into the story. Lily's about 3, I'd say. And because I like her face so much, I've taken a few different angles. I love her little snub nose. This is Walter, who I imagine may be a baby brother for Meg at some point, or he could, as with Lily, be a neighbouring friend, little friend, or a cousin or something. Walter's about 2 or 3, I think. He's got a little blue duffel coat there. Now, this is Grandma, and I'm not really very pleased with the way her face has turned out, so I might remake her at some point as well. And I don't like her hair. It's supposed to be kind of a very ladylike, upswept do. She's quite a sort of put together old lady. She's got a brooch here, which is a little bit of gold, lace painted gold, two pearl necklaces. I like her cardigan. It really does look knitted. I can't remember what I made that from. And here again, as in the other little people, is Mrs. I can't remember if I called her. Oh yeah, Mrs. Egerton Warburton. Now, because she could possibly be a character in a contemporary scene, such as the 80s or the early 90s, I let her be in the Duckworths as well as in the Little People. She's a very well-to-do lady. She might own a kind of very big guest house in the same street as the Duckworths. Now, I think this is Luke, the lighthouse keeper. So he's a fisherman and he lives in the lighthouse. Can he do both things? That's the question. I don't know. I also want him to live in a kind of caravan out the back on the cliff top, or a bit further up from the Duckworth's back garden. So he's got a lot of things to do, old Luke there. This is Izzy Kaczynski, who's Meg's best friend. Izzy has a really nice little face. She's got a kind of protruding top lip and very thin lips. This is Izzy's baby sister. I can't remember what she's called. And this is Izzy in a party dress. I made all of Meg's friends' party dresses because I imagined at some point, let me try and keep the camera still. I hope you're not feeling sick. because at some point I would love to do a story with a party in it. This is Alfred Witt, and again he appears in the Little People series, but because I think he could be a kind of gardener or something, or an old chap with an allotment in the Duckworth world, he appears here as well. You get a close-up of his hat there. Now here's Harvey. Harvey is Meg's best friend. Well, Izzy, Harvey and Meg are a terrible trio. Harvey's about 5 as well. This little guy, I can't remember what his name is. I think I called him Matthew. He's about the same age. And Mavis is about the same age as Meg, Matthew, Harvey and Izzy as well. Because I love Mavis's face, I did a few angles of it. This is Tara. Now Tara is Josie's age, so she's about 10. And, oh, I can't remember, what is the name of this character? Have I got it? Oh, Esther, great, I've got the names at the bottom. Esther is also Josie's age. Now this is Alexander. He's a sort of 2 or 3 year old, about the same age as Walter. This is Alice. I'd imagine about Tom's age, so say 8. I was particularly pleased. This is Joe. I think this is Meg's baby brother when the story actually opens. It's such a long time ago since I planned out the family, I can't remember. He also appears as the baby in the story Grandma's Piano, as does this lady who's Grandma in Grandma's Piano. I'm not sure who she is in the Duckworths, but yeah. There is Archie, or William, when he still had his arm. I mean both arms. And there's Archie or William on his back, and there he is again. Here is Barney. Barney is Josie's age, so about 10 or 11. He's one of the eldest children on the street. Here's Ben. I think Ben is Tom's best friend. Ben also appeared as Joe in The Night the Moon Went Out. Then that's Beth, I think. Yeah, Beth is also Tom's age, about 8. And here she is in a party dress. This is Maisie. Oh, yeah, it is a Maisie, and she's meant to be about 2 or 3, so Walter's age. You see, there's a whole tribe of children. This is, I didn't put the name again. I can't remember, but a 2-year-old. This is Tara in her party dress. That was also going to be the dad of the family at one point, but now I've put him as Alice's dad. This is Izzy Kaczynski's elder sister, Elsbeth. Here is Elsie. I don't know who Elsie is, probably just an elderly neighbour. Eustace. Oh, okay. I think maybe I modelled him on Eustace from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, though. Yeah, didn't he have red hair? I can't remember. Then there's 40 Winks. This model was initially just not meant to be in the Duckworths, but she's dressed in a contemporary way. So this is Gavin, a little boy, another elder boy, Frankie. Frankie's Josie's age. Actually, yeah, Frankie's probably about 12. Here's a holiday maker called Helen, modelled after, well, she bears some resemblance to a person I used to know. There's Grandma again, we're in a different outfit. That's Meg's grandma, I mean. Then there's Grandma in her wedding dress, because in one story she gets married to Luke, the ship, or the lighthouse keeper. There's Izzy in her winter coat. There's Grandad, I think from the other side of the family. And there's a close-up of Grandad. Grandad was the Grandad in The Night the Moon Went Out as well. There's Jasmine, who is one of Meg's little friends.
There's Grace, who's also one of Meg's little friends. So these are about 5 or 6. Grace in her party dress, Lily, Meg's little sister, in her nightdress, Lily in her dressing gown. I've got here Lily younger, which means maybe this is for a story where Lily is just a toddler. Then I tried to make a newborn baby, not that successfully actually. This is so that if Mrs. Duckworth has a baby, which she does in one story, I would have a baby. Here's Josie in her summer dress and sandals, and in her Christmas dress, because one story will take place on Christmas Day. That's green velvet, that dress. Then there's Josie in her coat, Josie in her pyjamas. She's a bit of a tomboy. Josie in her dressing gown. Here's Jim, another little boy on the street. There's Lola, another of Meg's friends, Lola in her party dress. Lottie, one of Meg's best friends, Lottie in her party dress. Joe again, I don't know why Joe is there. Lucy, that's one, a little girl about Tom's age, so about 7 or 8. Maggie, I'm not sure where Maggie comes in, and Maggie in her party dress. Then there is Maisie, who, I've already got someone called Maisie, and I can't remember what her name is, but she's meant to be a toddler about Walter's age again. Then we've got Margaret, who I think might help Mum out when the Duckworths start the B&B. Margaret might come in and help cook or clean. There's Marjorie, who plays the piano in the village hall. I really like Marjorie's hair. I don't know how I managed to get it like that. I think I just took advantage of a natural wave in the viscose. Now here's Meg in her party dress. Very grand. Meg in her dressing gown. She has a bit of a lopsided smile, doesn't she? Meg in her coat. Meg in her Christmas Day dress. Meg in her spotted pyjamas. A baby called Miss Mary Banks. Initially from the Little People range, but I thought she could be enlisted into the Duckworths. There's a close-up of Mary and a side view of Mary and the other side. Though by the look of it, she's not really into turning the other cheek. Now here is someone, Molly, who can help out serving breakfast in the B&B. Here is Morag, who's Izzy Kaczynski's older sister. Here are Mr. and Mrs. Duckworth in another outfit. Here's the village baker, Mr. Duckworth in his dressing gown, pyjamas and slippers. Particularly proud of that dressing gown. I think my mum made that. Mr. Duckworth in his Aran jumper and a summer shirt and his pyjamas. Oh, another holiday maker. What did I call him? Mr. Golding. He does look like a Mr. Golding, doesn't he? And a regular Mr. Jeremiah in the village. Another regular in the village, Mr. Milton. We've got a butcher. I think I called him Mr. Mutt. So original. Mrs. Amelia Wilberforce. There are 3 ladies that always appear together in the stories, and this old lady is called Mrs. Amelia Wilberforce. This is Mrs. Apollonia Anderson. I don't know where I got these names from. Hang on. Yeah, terribly nice old ladies. And this is Mrs. Lavinia Lovelace. Oh, Constance Pemberton. Then where's Lavinia Lovelace? Constance Pemberton. You can see she's got swollen ankles. Poor Constance. Yep. There's Mum and Joe again. They also appeared in Grandma's piano. Mum. I really like the shopping bag she has here. My own mum had a shopping bag just like that. Mum in her coat I really should do better with Mum. She's not my best attempt at all. Mum in her dressing gown. We made it extra big because she's pregnant in one of the stories, so it has to hide a bump. Mum in a nightie. Mum when she's pregnant in a pregnancy kind of jumpsuit. And she's pregnant again here, and she has dangly earrings. Oh, and blue trainers. Old Mrs. Eyebright, one of the village regulars. Mrs. Pugh and her shopping trolley and her fur-lined boots. I really love Mrs. Pugh. Our Edie, I've called this figure because she's a bit snooty, but she's quite poor. She's a bit of a chav, but she's snooty. A weird combination. Then, hang on. Nell. Okay, that's another old lady for the village. Here is Paul. I think maybe that's Izzy's baby brother. This is Peg, a toddler. Reg. I love Reg. One of the villagers. Shabana in a beautiful party dress. Shabana in her everyday dress. Sadie. Sadie does not look a happy bunny. Stan, one of the village greengrocers guy. Sophie, the younger sister of Ben. The postmistress called Sheila. Suki, possibly the younger sister of Jasmine. Suki in her party dress. Oh, a cross patch. Susie, I've called this one. Now here is Sylvie, who appeared in the scrapbook field. She was Jess or Meg's adult friend, but I thought she would fit in really well in a seaside village. There's Tara in her coat, Tara in her trousers and jumper, an old gent called Ted. Ted from the front, Ted from the back. Nice waistcoat. Oh, and a pressed line down the trousers. A little boy called Tim. Tom in his anorak. That's Meg's older brother. Tom in his duffel coat. Meg's older brother. Tom in his dressing gown. Tom in his pyjamas. William. William is the baby brother of Jim, Lucy and Alice. There's an old chap. I titled this Yesterday because he's looking at a photograph album. But I think he would probably be one of the residents of the B&B. And is that it, I wonder? Yes. That looks like that is, in fact, all of the Duckworths.